and welcome here to TalkFCB, and welcome back to the channel here today, guys, for what is going to be a full Barca news roundup, a full recap, because right now, obviously, I've not been able to spend as much time on the channel as usual. Unfortunately, life is getting in the way a little bit, and maybe that will continue for a little while. So what we're going to do here, when I am here, we're going to do full recaps. We're going to go over things from a few days ago. We're going to go over all the games to come. So coming up today, we're going to be discussing everything that happened at the weekend, with Barca, with Real Madrid as well. And that was an interesting end to the game, I would say. We've also got transfer news to discuss in today's video. And along with all of that, we've got the upcoming Copa del Rey quarter-final against Albacete. That is coming on Tuesday night. So all of that is on the way. I appreciate all of your support, all of your patience. Thank you indeed for being here. So come on, and let's do this. Because first of all, let's kick right off then with Barca versus Elche on Saturday night. And I've got to say, guys, I thought it was a really, really good performance from Barca. Because I think when you take into account as well, this is not an easy team to come up against here. It's not as though we've just swatted aside, a relegation candidate in Elche. Away from home as well, they've got a really good support behind them. They're having an excellent season. They play good football. And I thought we handled the game really, really well. And of course, the start was a big reason behind that. We spoke before the game in Hansi Flick as well about needing some quick starts, starting the game well, getting an early goal. That really does help you to gain some momentum and confidence. And I thought Yamal, he just did everything perfectly. I thought he was really, really good on Saturday there. The overall performance, the goal, of course, that he did score, he was a constant threat there, creating chances at will. And I thought it was a really, really good display from him. You're looking at Ferran Torres, another goal this season for him. But as always with Ferran, you're looking at it, it's good that he scored. He's got a lot of goals this season, and we're really, really grateful for that. But at the same time, he can get more. You're looking at the game against Elche there. There's chances for him. He could go away with 2, maybe even 3. The number of hat-tricks he probably could have already had this season is absolutely extraordinary. But yeah, I just thought Barca here, creating chances. It was a bit relentless as well. That was what I liked to see from us there. It wasn't about just scoring 1 goal, scoring 2 goals. We wanted to score more and more and more, and we should have done. We should have ended the game there, definitely with more than 3 goals to our name. But hey, it's 3 more points. These are very, very valuable points now. Every game that goes by in La Liga, you're ticking it off. You're moving closer and closer to the real crescendo of the season, and it's 3 more points in the bag. We maintain our lead over Real Madrid at the top. Barca, they are still there, and in my opinion, looking at the way the weekend went, we should have extended our lead at the top. Because, well, then we do move on to our rivals, Real Madrid. And I would like to talk about them here because I think it's worth talking about. Because, yeah, they played at the weekend against Rayo Vallecano there early on Sunday. And it looked as though, yet again, that they were going to drop points. It was another really poor, really average performance from Real Madrid. I think Rayo, to be perfectly honest with you, they would have deserved a point. I thought they played well. I thought they certainly there created a bit. They troubled Real Madrid. They got themselves back in the game at 1-1. And that's the way it should have ended. But in typical Real Madrid fashion, it was almost as though they're in the closing stages of the game. First of all, Rayo get a red card. They're down to 10. That's one big advantage there to Real Madrid. And then as that game goes on, you're going into added time. And we all knew it. It's simply a case here in this kind of situation where Real Madrid are drawing, they're needing a goal. It was okay. Let's play until something happens. Let's play until Real Madrid do get the goal that they want. And of course, they struggled even then, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 minutes added on. They still couldn't make that breakthrough. And then finally, they get that penalty. It almost seemed inevitable. How many times have we seen this situation here whereby Real Madrid, they get that penalty and they win the game there. Mbappe dispatches it. They win 2-1. They scrape through another game. They just about stay behind Barca there in the title race. But I would just say right now, they look like they're struggling. I still don't understand why they thought that bringing in Arbeloa, trading out Alonso, bringing in Arbeloa, did they think that was going to help them? Did they think here, this coach Arbeloa coming in, he's really going to change things in our favour? They got knocked out of the Copa del Rey. They got knocked out of the top 8 of the Champions League. They're losing to Benfica in incredible fashion, of course, that they did. He hasn't improved anything. All that he's done, really, is be a big yes man. You know, Florentino Perez wanted somebody to come in who would just say yes to everything, who would repeat what he wanted there in the media. Alonso, I think he was sort of bruising a few egos inside of Real Madrid, telling players what to do. They didn't like it, clearly. They kicked him out. But yeah, they haven't improved. They have definitely gone backwards even, I would say. And they are struggling right now, even though they did just about manage to win. Then we do indeed move on to other events this weekend, and let's now talk about Girona, because Marc-Andre Ter Stegen has now played 2 matches for his new team. Of course, he's on loan there until the end of the season. So far, he's had a draw against Getafe, and they actually lost at the weekend against Real Oviedo. They're really, really poor day for Girona. But now, interestingly, after that game, it has now been discovered Ter Stegen has an injury, and this is worrying, I think, for all parties right now. It's a muscle tear, so it seems to be quite a serious muscle injury. Now, tests today are going to be done on Ter Stegen, more thorough tests there to discover the true extent of that injury, but right now, the feeling is not good, and we could see here quite a long injury layoff for Ter Stegen, who's been really plagued by injuries, you know, whether it's been the back, whether it's been surgeries on that. Other injuries as well have been really, really tricky for him, but of course this could really affect his World Cup chances. At the end of the day here, that's why he elected to leave the club, to join Girona. He wanted to play, he wanted to put himself in the shop window for Germany. That might not happen now if he is ruled out. And initially we were hearing, well, if he's out for a long time, could he return to Barca? You know, are Girona going to send him back? But I think the feeling right now in the media is Barca won't accept that here. Ter Stegen, at the end of the day, has a contract at Girona until the end of the season now. That was the loan that was agreed. They don't want him back. You know, they don't want him to be sent back to us. We only just got rid of him. So Ter Stegen right now, he is going through that injury problem. Let's wait and see how serious or not it proves to be, and if that will end up hurting his World Cup chances. And of course, as well, you're thinking of the future, any future move away from Barca. So let's wait and see what happens on that. Sticking, though, with the transfer side of things, I mean, overall, it's been quite a quiet January transfer window, and not only just for Barca, I would say actually right across the footballing world here. There's not been that much going on in the January window here. Clubs are being a little bit more conservative, maybe. Obviously, financial restraint is starting to come in right across the world now. In lots of different leagues, maybe teams are thinking a little bit more carefully about where and when they spend their money. So January has seen a little bit of a drop in activity here, but let's talk about something that could be happening in the summer. Let's talk about Marcus Rashford. That is the talk, really. When you're talking about transfers, the media love to talk about this. And right now we're hearing from Manchester United's side here. The media in the UK say that if Michael Carrick was to continue as the Man United coach, you know, into next season, he would want Marcus Rashford as part of his team. He would like to see him return from Barca and play a part for him at United again. Now, of course, we don't know if Carrick is going to stay on. Of course, he's had a wonderful start at Man United there. 3 out of 3 wins, including wins against Man City and Arsenal. So Man United right now, they're actually winning games, which is pretty crazy. And all the fans, of course, are very, very excited about that in Manchester. But yeah, it's interesting with regard to Rashford, because of course when we signed him, Ruben Amorim was the coach and he didn't like Rashford. You know, he didn't want Rashford anywhere near the team. That's why Barca were able to negotiate quite a favourable loan deal, and maybe even with a buy option, because the current Man United coach didn't want him. Now, if that changes here with Michael Carrick in charge, or maybe somebody who replaces him who does want Rashford, suddenly then Barca, they're not able to negotiate as easy. You know, if we were thinking maybe in the summer we'd go back to United and say, oh, we'd like to keep Rashford, we'd like to take him off your hands, but we want a lower fee. Well, now United aren't going to bite at that, are they? You know, they're not in a position now where they actively want to get rid of him, maybe. So that could hurt negotiations from Barca's side. But yeah, it all depends on that buy option. There's been rumours of 30 million, 35 million that might be the price for Rashford. If that's in the contract, well, that cannot be changed. But Barca then would need to meet that full buy option, because now the feeling at United seems to be changing. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. You know, do you want to see Rashford continue at Barca? Flick seems very, very happy with him. And of course, it also comes down to the preference of the player. In the end, he can decide. You know, does he want to stay at Barca? Has he enjoyed his time here? It looks as though he has. You know, on the pitch, off the pitch, he seems very, very happy with the change of scenery. But could he go back to United? Would he want to do that if suddenly they started to get things together there. But indeed, guys, away from all of that right now, Barca do have another important game coming up, and it is coming on Tuesday there in the quarter-final of the Copa del Rey, and we will be coming up against Albacete. And this right here is how the quarter-final stages are looking. We are actually playing the only second division team remaining in the competition. Elsewhere, it's Alaves against Real Sociedad, Valencia against Athletic Club, and Real Betis against Atleti. Now, in my opinion, our biggest challengers, our biggest competitors right now in the Copa del Rey, it is that game right there. Betis against Atleti. They are, in my opinion, the strongest teams left in the competition. But in terms of Albacete, okay, they might be in the second division, and okay, they might be mid-table, to be honest, in the second division. They're not exactly pulling up any trees, but do we need to remind ourselves about what they did in the last round, about what they were able to do against Real Madrid? You know, they were at home, the atmosphere was absolutely incredible, and they pulled off a stunning upset. 3-2. They were fearless in that game. They really went for Real Madrid. They saw a lot of weakness there. They exploited some of those gaps in Real Madrid's defence, and they really were incredible. So we can't afford to underestimate Albacete here. They are second division. Of course, Barca are the big favourites, but remember, this will be the biggest game in their season. This might be the biggest game at their club for the last years. You know, this is absolutely massive for them, and we cannot forget that. Now, in this game as well, we will have no Raphinha. Barca have confirmed this morning that he is out for this game. He's got a muscle overload, and they say now, as a precaution, they're going to keep him out of this one, and that he will need a week to recover. So he's out of this game, and it remains to be seen whether he's going to be involved at the weekend against Mallorca. Right now, based on that, I would say potentially no. And to be honest, it's been a bit stop-start right now for Raphinha since the last Copa del Rey game. He got a bit of a blow against Racing Santander. He's been in and out with injury problems since then. So right now, I think we just want him to fully recover, fully get back to his absolute peak physical state, because of course, when he's in that mode, he is absolutely unstoppable, guys. But hopefully in this one here on Tuesday, it's a game that we should win, and I think Flick, again, is going to go strong. You know, that's the thing about Flick. He very rarely underestimates teams. You know, he will respect Albacete. He will play a strong team. We know that it's not going to be a walk in the park here. I would expect Barca to go strong, and I am going to go with... Let's think about this. I got the last one right. I said 3-1 against Elche. What can we do here? I'm going to go Barca 4, Albacete 1. I think maybe, you know, initially it might be a bit tricky. They might get themselves a goal. That would certainly please their fans. But I think Barca can get the job done and hopefully get it done well here, guys. So please let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. What are your predictions here? What are you expecting in the Copa del Rey on Tuesday? And I will see you soon for another roundup, for another recap. And like I say, I really appreciate all of your support and your patience here on the channel. Thank you to all of you guys. But until next time, as always, Veshka El Barça.